So come on in, take a sip. Let's wind down. Today I have a 2023 Bulgarian Tempus Vini Mavrud. And Mavrud is a varietal grape. It's seen around the Balkans, that area specifically. It's usually used as a blending grape, but I think we've got the whole thing here. And the bottle is very particular on the artwork, on the label. There is absolutely no verbiage at all whatsoever, no lettering, no numbers, just a lovely piece of artwork, and kind of gives off a happy vibe at first glance, so I'm sure I could find something angsty about it if I looked long enough. But my muse has always been more eros anyway instead of angst, and so therefore I have to try really hard. But on the nose, just fabulous. And you can see here from the pour, I mean, the bottle actually comes with a red wax cap, right? You know, they really go out of their way to maintain what they've got going there. And on the nose, it's a cassis, but it's a muted cassis. Got some earthy effluvia there. I dare say a touch of sulfur, but it just came out of the bottle, and it's been sitting in that bottle for 3 years, so. On the palate, it's tannic, it's smooth finishing, it's extremely dry. In fact, it's dry to the point that in German, they would call it Furztrocken, which means I love it, right? Which means Schatzi probably would not. She wants a little bit more of a bouquet, right, you know, going on there. But this is just very interesting on the nose and palate. I wonder if by the time I get into the Guardian, it will calm down, because I mean, I did not give it time to breathe, and that can always have an effect on the nose. But as far as the palate is concerned, this is just fabulous. There's nothing wrong with the nose. It's just, it's just very sparse. I would say slightly cassis, and mostly has a minerality to it that's has kind of a metallic appeal to it, which is really interesting. I love it. This would go with really good fatty foods, but probably more spicy in the Asian area, I think would go really well with this, right? But it might be fabulous with the Eggs Benedict type of thing, you know, with maybe some link sausages or good old-fashioned bacon. I'll drink that whole bottle tonight. This was a gift from my friend, Dr. Jeffrey Cortez. He's been down and about in Croatia and Bulgaria, traveling about doing what he does. He's one of those PharmDs that really makes a difference in our pharmaceuticals here. And he also has an Omega collection. I love it when I meet people who have Omega watches. That's kindred spirit type stuff there. So thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that very much. So we have a construction today by Aimee Lucido, and for Monday, June 9th, 2025. In the request from many folks to just see one solve without me talking my way through it. But remember, Speed Demon, I don't know how to touch type, though I do, but not if I think about it. And so crazy psycho stuff going on there. And then not to mention the fact that I'm not a careful typist either. But we'll do this one time, and I'll even move the microphone down to the keyboard. For those of you who really dig the ASMR effect, I just hope we can pick up the keys. But we'll give it a shot, so let's go ahead and open up this grid and get going. I feel like I'm at a spelling bee. Refill it, I guess. Okay, let's see. Be quiet. I felt like I was in a test.
You suck, baby.
I suck. Jerry Shotzi says I suck. No, that's
I realized
that's how fast I type.
not put together here. I apologize.
Oh, it's quite all right. It's quite all right. No, I felt like I was in a test, like in homeroom or something in middle or high school when you can't talk, and I was literally dying on the inside. Just literally dying. So again, I don't think I had any hang-ups along the way. A couple of things I wasn't sure of, and so therefore I kind of skip around it. But you can kind of see how my mind works. But I mean, I could probably do a similar time on a Saturday, and I say that because it's not that it's easy or hard. I think it's just over time your vocabulary gets used to what you're going to be getting in the grid, and you kind of there's a level of expectation and anticipation and prediction going on there too. I thought that, relative of a rapier, obviously I had 5 letters, and it was either going to be a saber. The only question I had was whether it was going to be saber as in le sabre, it's going to be the French spelling, or were we going to go with the anglicized version. At first, I guess I get the joke. I put in meh, because I also thought stretches of baking days, and for some reason I thought maybe meat waves would work, and that was kind of a brain fart for sure. But I immediately slapped me 5 was up high, wasn't going to happen, and so I got the up top in, etc. But I think when we're talking about any bond, anything related to bond, I'm going to be uniquely clued into Georg Solti, the Chicago Symphony conductor. And also Movable Feast. You could see that I, put the E in before just making it an M-O-V-A, but immediately started thinking of Hemingway, right? And that's the thing. Pretty crazy there. Edge cases, I'd never heard the term before, but it was pretty clear to me once I'd gotten the crosses that okay, this was going to be edge, and then it just seemed like cases was going to drop, and then of course with the crab. Interesting too, sidestepper on a beach is the crab, but interesting that they didn't link it into sidles here, because that's how crabs move. They sidle, right? So it's very interesting. Did not know what this was at all. I mean, it's ood and odd. I wouldn't have known how to spell ood and odd. I've never spelled it or attempted to. I don't even know if I've ever really said it. I know I've heard it. Last but not least was great. Love anytime we can bring up Ravi Shankar or Hindustani classical music or really anything along those lines. So it was great. And pond honker, for some reason in my peripheral vision, I thought it might be honkers. And so I almost put in geese until I looked up real quick. But on the whole, Aimee, Lucido, muy bien. This was just this was a fabulous construction for a Monday, and it wasn't full of all those little inelegant things that you get used to on Mondays and Tuesdays and Sundays, because they're so big, with an ETA or an ETD or whatever the case may be. But on the whole, beautiful construction. So brava, Aimee, Lucido. But it was absolutely the strangest thing to just be quiet. I wouldn't be quiet.
It was hard for me.
It was hard for her. She's like, this is awkward.
Then I noticed the thing is not together, and then it's bugging me, so I have to get up and do something.
It just created tasks, is what it did, right? It created tasks for Shotzi. It created agita, to go back to yesterday's grid, for me, right? I've looked at some of the comments, and I'll be answering those when we get to developing and processing and uploading here later. But if I say things like vegetable oil, try to stay away from it. Don't take medical advice from me. My doctorate is in humane letters, so I don't even play a physician on TV. So no medical advice. But I think that Shotzi and I would both strongly encourage everybody to look into oils and the process that creates them. I mean, we really only use ghee or butter or olive or coconut oil. And that's just really pretty much it. I mean, I just wouldn't use anything else because of all of the chemicals that they have to use to get the oil out of those seeds. Like avocado oil sounds great, and it's got a high temperature and it's wonderful, but so does ghee, and it's already clarified, so you don't have any of the brown runoff from the yellow impurities. But this isn't a health and wellness channel, and if you're really into vegetable oil, then I'm not here to stop you by any stretch, so please don't think of me as trying to dictate what people eat. You eat what you want. You do you. That's the most important thing any of us can do. So, but what an interesting thing. What an interesting experiment this was. And really, I don't think I want to do that ever again. So, if you have any advice or ideas or whatever, that'd be great. Just, let me know. But I think we'll bring down our Benny Ado and we'll let class out. It was a real pleasure, as always. Last note that I would share before we go. I've already seen Paddington 2, and I think next is Paddington in Peru, which is probably on the agenda for tonight because I fell in love with that show. I mean, it was just incredible. Though I wish he wasn't such a screw-up because that bear just keeps making life hard on himself, and that drives me crazy. It's the same reason I never watched Poldark beyond a couple of episodes, because every episode he was just in trouble. Okay, gosh, I need a little bit of good life going on. Right, so what it is, but I'm telling you, Susan Shoemaker, thank you so very much for recommending Paddington to me. I can tell already it is going to be a classic in my mind and heart for the end until the end of my days. So until we see you all tomorrow, happy Monday. Yay, it's Monday. And we'll see you on the morrow. Until then, ich wünsche Ihnen einen schönen Tag noch. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss. Servus. Grüß Gott. Ciao. Cin-Cin. Be well out there. And we'll check you on the other side. But please try to be nice to strangers if you can at all stomach it. Might be easier than vegetable oil. Cheers.